A new battle is brewing over how much some students pay to go to college in Texas.
We are giving taxpayer funding to those people that came here illegally, that broke the law. That is just not right.
A Texas lawmaker launches a new effort to end in-state college tuition for students who came to the U.S. illegally. The bill failed before, but could this time be different? The state's newest lawmakers are gearing up for the upcoming session. We'll introduce you to one of the newest members of the Texas House. Hear how he's getting ready to make a mark at the Capitol. It took this Texas school district nearly 50 years to desegregate, but the federal order that made it happen has been lifted. Why that's bringing new concerns about opportunities for some young Texans. Hello, and thank you for joining us for State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle. The Texas DREAM Act allows college students who came to the U.S. illegally pay in-state tuition rates. Students are eligible if they have lived in Texas for 3 years, are seeking legal status, and if they have graduated from high school or received a GED. Lawmakers overwhelmingly approved the act more than 17 years ago, but in recent years, we've seen several attempts to repeal it. All of them have failed, but now a Fredericksburg Republican is trying again, raising new concerns from students seeking higher education. When Daniela Rojas graduates from UT Austin next spring, she'll be the first one in her immediate family to hold a bachelor's degree.
My family made the sacrifice of coming to this country so that I could have a better education and a future that they didn't have.
Her family came to the United States illegally, but Rojas is protected from deportation through DACA.
I've been living here for more than half of my life now.
She's eligible to pay in-state tuition at UT thanks to the Texas DREAM Act. But that law now faces a new challenge.
We are giving taxpayer funding to those people that came here illegally, that broke the law. That is just not right.
State House member Kyle Biederman filed a bill that calls on Texas lawmakers to end in-state tuition for college students living in the U.S. illegally.
Why should we give them a deduction or a subsidy at taxpayer expense when other Texans could use the funds also to be educated?
Similar bills have been filed before. None of them passed. Rojas hopes that trend continues and the Texas DREAM Act stays in place.
We deserve education, the right to education, and the right to have affordable education, just as anybody else should. Doesn't matter what the legal status should be.
Biederman says his bill is good for Texas.
There are dollars that are being spent by taxpayers for other people that are not from Texas, that are not Texas residents, and we've got to find every dollar we can.
The difference between in-state and out-of-state tuition is significant. The University of Texas Admissions Office has the cost for one semester of an in-state undergrad student at $5,000 to $5,800. Out-of-state students pay more than 3 times that amount. A semester costs between nearly $18,000 to more than $20,000. We reached out to UT officials to get their perspective on the latest repeal effort. A spokesperson told us the university does not comment on policies or proposed legislation. The school does not collect data on its students' immigration status. Governor Greg Abbott has previously said that he would not veto a bill to repeal the Texas DREAM Act. He says lawmakers who passed it had a noble cause, but during our Texas governor's debate, he told us he thinks there's a flaw in the law.
The law that passed said that these students who received in-state tuition had to demonstrate that they were on a pathway toward achieving legal status. However, there is no apparatus in the law to make sure that that, in fact, is being done.
There is precedent for this. In April, the Arizona Supreme Court ruled DACA students would have to pay out-of-state rates. The court ruled Arizona's current state law does not allow colleges and universities to grant in-state tuition to someone without permanent legal status. The push to repeal the Texas DREAM Act has failed in the past, but will this time be different?
The Texas of 2015 is not the Texas of 2019. And if they don't factor that in, this bill is just going to go flat.
We'll look at how the climate at the Capitol could affect the chances for this controversial bill. The state's newest lawmakers getting ready for the task ahead.
It's going to be important that I have the relationships from the urban and suburban members and also the rural members.
We'll introduce you to one new Texas House member and hear how he plans to make his mark in the upcoming session. One of the tightest races in the Texas House is finally finished nearly a month after Election Day. Joanna Catanack conceded the District 108 race on Thursday to Republican incumbent Morgan Meyer. The district covers the University Park area of Dallas. Catanack trailed by about 200 votes after election night, so the Democrat called for a recount. Her concession closes out the final recount of the midterm election. 28 new members will join the Texas House for the next session. They just completed orientation week, and one of the new lawmakers settling in is Brad Buckley, a Republican from Killeen. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you.
So give us an idea about your orientation. What really happens?
Oh, well, it's a great experience. It's your first time to meet your classmates that are incoming freshmen to the Texas House. It begins with basically drawing for seniority, and that's basically a box full of ping pong balls with numbers on them, and that will dictate the order in which you'll select your office in the Texas House, your desk on the floor, your parking space, and then it will come into play as time goes on as far as committee appointments and things like that. But it's a great opportunity to build relationships and getting to know current members and then the new member class. It's a really important part of what I'm going to be doing, which is hopefully be a strong voice for House District 54 and have lots of good relationships in the Texas House.
So coming out of your campaign, how do you translate those promises into legislation? What are your priorities this time?
Well, it's school finance reform, which is critical to having some property tax relief for our citizens. It's to make certain that we stand strong on water issues and make sure that our communities and our counties have the resources necessary to move forward with the development and to maintain their current water needs. That's going to be a huge issue in Texas over the next few years. Our public schools are extremely important to me. I'm a public school graduate. All my kids went to public school. My wife works in a public school system. I want to make sure that we have a quality public school system that can create a outstanding, well-trained workforce so that we can meet our economic needs in the future in Texas.
You were on the school board too, right?
Yes, I served on the school board in Killeen back in the early 2000s. It was a great training for solutions-based government where you have problems to solve and you have to garner folks of different opinions and sit down and hash out a solution, and it was great training.
Now, you defeated Scott Kopser in the primary. What motivated you to, try to, circumvent a fellow Republican?
Sure. Well, it began something that I'd looked at for years was running for this seat. One of the former seat holder, Jimmy Don Aycock, served with such distinction for many years and was a great public school advocate and did some great things for our schools. And when he decided to retire, it just wasn't good timing, given the age of my kids at the time and my business. And so from a groundswell of support, grassroots folks told me they would like for me to throw my hat in the ring, and so we did back in September of a year ago. And we just began a campaign that was very grassroots oriented. It was door to door, handshake to handshake. And we caught fire, and we were able to get through the primary runoff and then get ourselves through the general. But I'm honored by the folks that really called on me to serve, and now I'm ready to do it.
Now, your district has Bell County and Lampasas County.
Yes, about half of Bell County and all of Lampasas County. So we have what I would call suburban and urban needs and rural needs. It is a snapshot of Texas, and so it's going to be important that I have the relationships from the urban and suburban members and also the rural members, and we've gone a long way towards that this week. Meeting folks and talking about issues and just getting to know each other.
Now, off camera, we were talking about the fact that you are a veterinarian by trade.
That's correct.
And so you've had an interesting experience already and getting ready to go into the session because there's some others like you, right?
That is correct. I will be the third veterinarian that will serve in this session. Doc Anderson and Lynn Stuckey are veterinary colleagues of mine, and we will be colleagues in the Texas House, and that's pretty special from what I understand. We're not for sure about this, but we think it may be the largest caucus, if you will, of veterinarians serving together in an elected body in the country. But veterinary medicine is a great training ground, I believe, for service, and that is because it's a solutions-based profession. We're presented with challenges every day, sometimes that we have to be very creative in how to solve them. And we feel like, I feel like it's a great training ground for me to hopefully be a very effective legislator.
Well, again, congratulations on your win. I'm looking forward to seeing what you and the rest of the new freshmen are going to be doing.
Well, it's a great group, and I tell you what, I'm honored to serve with all of them, and I look forward to it.
Great. Thanks for being here.
You bet. Thank you.
As we count down to the session, who are the lawmakers to watch? We'll turn to our roundtable to talk about some key players and issues under the dome. It took a federal court order nearly 50 years ago to desegregate schools in the East Texas city of Longview. Now that order has been lifted, and that's putting new pressure on the school district to make sure all students have equal opportunity when it comes to education. For perspective on the week in Texas politics, we turn to our roundtable. We're joined by Joy Diaz, the producer for Texas Standard on KUT Public Radio, James Berrigan from the Dallas Morning News, and Jonathan Silver from the Austin American Statesman. Welcome, everyone.
It's so great to be here.
Well, hey, this week the big story was a new push to end the state college tuition eligibility for students who live in Texas for years but are not U.S. citizens. This bill has failed before, but why is it coming back up now?
Well, because it's sexy. That's the short end of it. You know, it came back in 2015, but what lawmakers have forgotten is that the Texas of 2015 is not the Texas of 2019. And if they don't factor that in, this bill is just going to go flat.
What do you think? I mean, it has failed in the past, but like she said, there's a lot more traction, young people that kind of get behind issues like this now we're seeing.
I've seen a lot of lawmakers, when asked that question, deflect. They want to say no, but they don't say no. What they're really saying is, you know, there are more things to worry about, like Hurricane Harvey, school finance, property taxes, that kind of stuff. So they're kind of punting on that issue. And you know, it wasn't just 2015. There's been a Republican that's pushed forward a repeal effort every session for at least the last 10 years, and it hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah, what's the climate? I mean, he mentioned school finance. Everyone has talked about that being the big issue, but are we already seeing something that's going to possibly distract from that?
I don't think so. I think what the voters told the elected officials in November was that they have no appetite for these kind of wedge issues. Kyle Biederman, a Republican from Fredericksburg, a member of the very conservative and immigration hardliner Freedom Caucus, it's in his interest to do this kind of bill, and he's representing, he believes, his constituents. But I think overall the majority of the House is not going to have an appetite for it. Our area representative Jonathan Stickland filed the bill in 2017, and it didn't get out of committee. And I think what the voters said in November was that they don't want to mess with these issues. They want to get to the big issues at hand.
And you know, Josh, when we look at school finance, for instance, you know, you can relate. You know, the Texas Dream Act. It affects 1.9% of students, so it's a small number of students. But what the business community is telling lawmakers is this makes sense. As an economic policy, it makes sense, so leave it alone. But then you go to school finance, right? And we've been talking about school finance for more than 10 years. So a lot of people get tired of it, but I think this legislative session is going to be a little different because now the big school districts are suffering with lower enrollment, with lower dollars coming in. So it's a different era again.
Yeah, besides school finance, what other topics do you see as really rising to the top if they can get past something that might be a divisive but possibly unimportant issue to many members? What do you think?
Infrastructure, transportation funding also is a really big issue, and big segment of the population is still feeling the effects of Hurricane Harvey. So I think there will be a lot of conversations about that, and a lot more people seriously talking about tapping into the rainy day fund.
Who are the ones to watch this session? You know, we've also always got some lively people. We've got a lot of new people this time.
Well, the Speaker of the House.
Yes, yes. Well, you start us off. Who are you going to be looking at?
I am just very curious about the Speaker, but other than that, I'm generally interested in giving the new people a chance. But off camera, we were talking about all these names, so I'm just going to go with my colleagues because they had a lot of exciting names and things to say about that. I do know Cheryl Cole because I was city reporter in the city of Austin. So I think it's a very interesting person to watch, and we'll see how she does.
Yeah, what do you think?
We've got a ton of new legislators in the Dallas area. 7 new representatives in the House, and then 2 state senators, and Beverly Powell and Nathan Johnson, Democrats that flipped Republican seats. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate the supermajority in the Senate and how they work with Dan Patrick. So that's something that we're going to be watching closely.
And you've been looking at a lot of Central Texas people as well.
Definitely. Tell me if I leave out a name. You mentioned Cheryl Cole, Aaron Zwiener, James Tallarico, Vicki Goodwin, John Busey. I think those are all the new members, all Democrats. Definitely benefited from change in demographics. They're in districts where Hillary Clinton performed very well or won in 2016, and those are now flippable purple districts, however you want to describe it. And I think it's in their best interest to make waves, to continue being in their roles.
And something we were talking about off camera was Kel Seliger's role in the Senate. He's a Republican from the Panhandle. He's in the Senate, and he's a rural Republican, which means that he doesn't agree with some of the sort of voucher policies that have been pushed by the Senate, by Lieutenant Governor Patrick in the past. He's a public education guy because in the rural areas of the state, that's really the only option to get an education. So it'll be interesting to see his role. He could be a very big difference maker. Maybe he gets a powerful committee chairmanship. We'll see how that goes.
All right. James, Joy, Jonathan, Josh, thank you for being with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
It took this Texas school district 48 years to desegregate. Now, with the federal order lifted, some fear a return to the past.
Without a court order, there's some fear that that commitment to what they've done so far might go away.
Why there are new concerns about maintaining integrated schools in some parts of Texas.
It took a federal court order nearly 50 years ago to desegregate schools in the East Texas city of Longview. Now that order has been lifted. That's putting new pressure on the school district to make sure all students have equal opportunity when it comes to education. Joining us now is Alexa Ura from our reporting partner, the Texas Tribune. So you've been taking a deeper look at these challenges, facing Longview ISD. Texas schools have been desegregated for a long time. Why was Longview under a federal order for so long?
Longview was one of those places that was particularly resistant to integration. It wasn't uncommon in a state like Texas, but it was a place where local white residents went as far as blowing up some of the buses that were meant to transport black students to formerly all-white schools. And for a long time, they were just unable to really get together, the school board, and take active steps to integrated schools beyond putting children in the same classrooms, but actually providing them with the same educational opportunities. And so a court and the Department of Justice refused to let go of that federal supervision until just this June, when they were declared formally integrated.
What is the district doing to make sure that children from different racial backgrounds actually have the same opportunities as everyone else?
When they were still under federal desegregation order, they were required to report out the enrollment of students in their advanced placement classes and in their sort of specialized elementary schools that had advanced curriculum. White students were overrepresented in all of those classes and in those schools. But now that they're transitioning to a voluntary desegregation order, there's no sort of real enforcer, and the district has promised, we're going to monitor this, we're going to have reports, and if we see that students of color are not being represented, we're going to use race-neutral strategies to help do that by recruiting children from low socioeconomic backgrounds. But there's been research that's shown that that's not always as effective as before, when you could very specifically look at race and ensure that there was some equity or equality in that enrollment. And so, you know, they're barely starting on this part of their educational history to see what actually will happen once they're no longer under this federal supervision. But there is some real concern that it took so long to make so much of this progress, and there's some real concern that all of that could go away.
This is, you know, a specific community, but does it have the chance to impact other communities? I mean, what really drew you to this?
You know, I think Longview was one of 3 school districts that was still under a federal desegregation order. But what was really interesting to us about it is that it's in northeast Texas, behind the Piney Wood Curtain, and it's a place that has seen incredible Hispanic growth in the last couple of decades. When this federal desegregation order first came down, there were hardly any Hispanic students enrolled in the district. And so because of that, they weren't actually incorporated into the federal desegregation order. It was only focused on white and black students. Now they make up almost 40% of the school district population. And so we were drawn to it because in a lot of ways it looks like what a lot of communities in Texas look like, where they're dealing with sort of these historic, deep-rooted inequities while also trying to figure out how to meet the educational needs of a growing Hispanic population.
Well, I appreciate you coming here to talk about it. A very important issue, great report, and we'll also have that as a link on this story on your station's website. Alexa, thank you very much.
Thanks.
And thank you again for joining us for State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle. We'll be back next week to bring you an in-depth look at Texas politics.